Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Sergeant's Talk TV. Big Mike here.
Hey, Jason. And
Hey.
I'm home.
Yep, he's back in Arkansas, guys. Welcome home.
Man alive. I had to GPS to get here, guys. I forgot where I lived.
Well, you probably drove by it. It was all weeded up and everything. You go.
It was. I was like, that's not my place. That looks like some jungle nobody ever mows. And I'm like, oh, I'll never find it. No, that was my jungle. I'd turn around, come back from the other direction.
Oh, man. So what was the first thing you did when you got home?
I sat on my couch.
I bet you went to sleep and Tara worked her butt off.
I didn't go to sleep. The plan was to go to sleep. We made it a 2-day trip to get home on purpose because I knew not being home for a while. I didn't know, like, where did they park the tractor? Where did they have vehicles parked? I wasn't trying to come in at night. So we purposely stopped and came in, the afternoon of the next day. And I said, I'm done. Like, this truck, I wrestled it the whole way from Tennessee to here. Still got some things to fix on it, evidently. So I said, I'm done. I'm going to sit here on this couch and I'm going to lose brain cells on the whole face space and I'm going to do nothing. And she was, of course, she's co-pilot. She's, doing her thing. And yeah, she was like, I'm in my kitchen now. I'm going to make bread, and started putting things away. And I'm like, no. And she'd be like, babe, can you go to the camper and get? And I'm like, no, and of course I did it. I'm an obedient husband.
Yeah.
But
you're trained. You're trained.
I am.
Yeah.
Can you do this?
Hey, guys, if you want to hear the full story, go over to White Rock Homestead and check out their special edition. Okay? Check out their special edition for the full story. Okay? And I enjoyed that. That's why I asked you that question, because Terry and I sat there and watched the video.
It does. And you know what? Hey, shameless plugs. Sometimes I forget. Hey, just go watch the main channel. I've said all this stuff before, but yeah. I'm just enjoying good internet again.
There you go.
It's been rough. I was actually talking today with somebody and was like, I've got Sergeant's Talk tonight. We're going to get on. And, I missed like 3-4 different times, something like that while I was gone. It's nuts. It doesn't feel right. The channel is us being able to get on and share everything with everybody else. Yeah. What we know, learning from everybody that wants to come up and teach us something. And just having that camaraderie of veterans and veteran supporters and stuff like that. So to not have that during a week and then not being home. And the reason that I couldn't do it was because just the signal was horrible.
Yeah.
I think I dropped off 3 times last week and it was probably choppy and looked horrible. And it was. But I'm home. We're home. We don't know for how long.
Glad you guys are home. And so let's see who's in the chat.
Oh, we got all kinds in here.
Yeah, we do. Hey, there's Pest Hunters Outdoors is in here.
Hello. Seeing Good Enough Homestead.
Joe Fix It For You. Hello.
Of course, the big boss lady, Sergeant Major, MT Homestead.
She's here. Yeah. She's front and center. Linda Peterson. Hello. Yes, hit that thumbs up, guys. Dana Mason.
Dana, well, thank you.
Hey, Jason.
I had a good birthday. I made it 1 more year older.
I don't like celebrating. I don't know when the last time I had a birthday party or celebrated my birthday. They're not even important to me. Waking up every morning, that's celebration enough.
Yeah, and that was me. I mean, Tara had asked me, "Hey, what do you want to do for your birthday?" But and I'm like, "We're gonna be home. I
I'm
don't
gonna
want to do
sleep.
anything."
I'm gonna sleep.
Um, and actually, I had a great birthday because I went out and I ran the weed whipper and I got on the tractor, got some tractor therapy, a brush hogging. It was great. That was perfect. It was way better than some big hoopla. And I mean, we love hanging out with people. Don't get us wrong, but I we had stuff to do. It's another day of the week for me. At this point, there's no big significant, changes in life because I got a year older. Like I feel it every day I wake up. It's okay. There's a
Yeah.
reminder. Don't worry.
Dana Mason, Terry, and I will be at Pinecone Fest on Friday and Saturday. We decided to make it a 2-day thing. She got us a hotel room. I can't sleep in a camper on the ground or anything like that right now. But she got us a hotel room. So we're going to spend the night down there. We're going on Friday. I got to stop by uh, Paris, Texas, Paris Harley Davidson, and pick up a part for my bike, the ignition. For some reason, on my ignition switch on my Harley, and because I keep it locked, but now it's like you can hardly turn it. It's supposed to be like you can just click and it turns on. Now it's like somebody tried to break the lock on it, and I don't know who would do that or why it would do that. But I'm going to have to buy a brand new um, switch for my Harley because you got to have that to turn the power on to the bike.
Yeah.
And when I do get it to turn, I get no power on my Harley. So I got to buy the whole thing, and the whole item is like $150 at Harley Davidson. So I'm not going to buy an aftermarket one. I want an original one for my bike. So we're going to stop by there, pick that up, and then head down to Pinecone Fest because it's on the way anyway. So that's why we're leaving on a Friday. I don't want to take a risk of Saturday for whatever reason we don't get there in time. So that's why we're doing that. So we will be there. They're going to do a thing called bingo there. They're going to have a bingo thing instead of, having a thing where you draw on numbers to win a prize or whatever, giveaway or whatever. They're going to do a bingo thing. And then I got Jesse from Lazy Days Ahead. He's making me some Sergeant's Talk TV tumblers
Nice.
that he's done up and stuff for me, and then we'll give those up there as part of the bingo giveaways and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty excited about that. Terry and I will be there. Judy Herman, hello.
I see my neighbor, Ricky Smith,
Yep, over on Veterans Landing.
keeping her good. There's Glenda Grayson Fire.
Yep.
Phone's almost dead, so she's not going to be in the chat, but going to watch us on the TVs.
Okay. How do we look?
Oh, I should have shaved.
I shaved for this event.
I didn't shave my legs for this one. I didn't even shave my head. I'm coming in all hairy.
And there is
I'll tell you,
breast.
one great thing about being home again was after living in the RV, you don't realize how much we got used to taking short showers, which I've always taken a fairly short one.
Right.
But then you live in the RV and you don't have a choice. You got 6 gallons of hot water. You better get it done in that amount of time.
Yeah.
And to come home back to the endless hot water where you could just stand there and it's just going to keep coming for as long as the water's running.
Like back in the military when you're on deployment, hit the stinky areas and you're done.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, Glenn and Shannon, Salty Life. You're not behind the plow. You won't get rich by digging at it. You're in the Army now.
Oh.
He's always got a good one for us every week.
He's got it every single time. That guy is spot on.
Yep. Is Anna Boer's in here? Hello, Anna Boer. Or is that Robin backwards? Is that
There's
what it
Ralph
is?
the Web's Web. Yeah, she said it was something with a gaming name or something. So it was always like Robin.
Oh, okay.
So we're like, Annabore is really cool. And she's like, it's just how she had to make a gaming name or something, if I remember it correctly.
There you go.
But yeah, there's Web.
Kevin Dietz. Hello, hello. Hey guys, Army Strong.
Well, welcome in, Kevin. There's Brian over at the Vineyard Farmhouse.
Cora Phelps. You know, I met Cora Phelps at Mid-America in 2023 when we had that first meetup in Mid-America meetup. And we were sitting there talking and stuff. And she is from Missouri. And one of my best friends in the world is from Macon. And his aunt and uncle, Kenny and Levon, have 500 acres. Neither one of them are alive right now, but they had 500 acres of land out there where Cora Phelps lives. And we used to go into that town to the pool hall there in her hometown just to grab something to eat and drink at night, because that's the only game in town. Okay. And then the second time, my best friend's dad, we had his funeral services out there where she lives and stuff. And we made that connection at Mid-America. So it's always good to see her.
Isn't that the fun part when we get to do the meetups and we go and you start talking to people and, you know, you find out like where they're from or where they're living, but it never fails. It always just reminds you of that small world.
Yeah.
I know exactly, you know, they'll mention, hey, I lived in this town. Nobody's ever heard of it. And you're like, well, as a matter of fact, not only have I heard it, I ate dinner there. I lived there, or, you know, just, I think that's been the great adventure of doing any of the YouTube events or getting out there was there's people you would have never met any other way than this.
Yeah.
And yet you after you have some conversations, you find out there's things that you guys have in common that you didn't even know.
Oh, exactly. Hey, and by the way, guys, up at the top, we pinned the link for you to come on and talk to us, meet us, tell us who you are, tell us about your military experience or that of one of your family members. So yeah, just hit that link, follow the instructions, and we'll bring you up in the green room and we can sit here and chat with you just to get to know you better. It's an open mic night. And unless you do that, you're going to listen to us talk all night.
All night.
But we'd love to see you guys up here and talk to you about anything you want to talk to us about. Hey, there's Brian at the Vineyard Farmhouse. Hey, Brian. And Angie.
There's our favorite
VA nurse is here.
Absolutely.
And I have a story to tell you about the VA when we get to that point in time. And it was a good experience and one I would love to share with everybody. In the last month, Stella was...
That's their birthday. So she's going over there in birthday overload right now. So Stella, that's my little BFF.
Yeah,
hers was back in September. Her dad was the day after. Then her baby sister was October 4th. And then her mom was the day after mine on the 7th. And then adopted sister on the 8th. So, yeah. Poor Tim and Dana. They're going broke.
Who sent a picture of that? It's not Dana.
I think that was Dana before.
And why is she cursing on her picture?
I'm not sure why she has that nasty.
What does it say? Roll toads? Roll toad? Aren't they from Mississippi?
That's where they live, but she likes something about, I don't know. She's a
fan of Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Southern Miss. I mean, there's all kind of Miss colleges, and you have to go to Alabama to say this curse word. Oh my Lord, Dana!
Hey, Vanderbilt rolled them, didn't they? Rolled them right over.
Rolled all over them. I love it. We watched that game from start to finish.
Oh, really?
Mizzou, and they gave Mizzou heck. And so we were gonna watch them. Man, there were more screams and yells at our house because we do not support the Tide. Just the laundry Tide. That's it.
Yeah.
And they got their stuff hung out to dry
Yeah.
by an unranked team. But I don't think that'll happen again.
No. Well, and they said, I mean, if you look at a lot of the scores in some of the games that happened in this last week in college football was.
Well, I can't say much because Mizzou got spanked by Texas A&M. We got spanked.
Well, and hey, we're on there. I mean, defending national champs are not defending very well this year.
And then Tennessee gets beat up by a no-ranked Arkansas team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That was a bad weekend.
But we beat Vanderbilt.
But we did beat Vanderbilt. We're staying over at Mount Pleasant. Yes, we are. We are staying at Mount Pleasant. It's 25 minutes away from the campground. And they provide breakfast at the La Quinta.
That's a bonus.
Yeah, we stayed at La Quinta because a couple of things La Quinta offers. They offer a military discount, and they also offer they're pet friendly. Okay, every one of their La Quintas are pet friendly, and you get a military discount. And when we were PCSing, we always stayed at La Quintas if they were in the area, except for dang Midland, Texas, and all they had open was a Motel 6 with cardboard mattresses. Hey, look who's there.
I see a little friend down in the bottom.
There she is. How you doing, Sherry?
Well, I'm doing as well as can be expected.
Good.
I'm Air Force. 1976 is when I went in.
All right. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So you went to basic in Lackland?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your MLS? Or
I was military police.
You were military police. Okay.
Yes.
I went to Lackland for dog school.
Oh, okay.
Everybody goes to Lackland for dog school.
Right.
Yeah.
It was quite the experience. I was in for 4 years.
Yeah.
When I got out, I went and saw my recruiter, and I asked my recruiter he asked me first if I would go talk to some of the seniors in the high schools.
Mm.
And I said, fine, but on one condition. Nobody else but me and the kids are in the classroom.
Yeah.
Because I was going to tell them exactly the way it was.
The truth.
I wasn't going to sugarcoat anything to them.
Yeah.
And then I guess from what I'm understanding from the recruiter, I had a very high success rate of recruits.
Oh, good.
The time I got done. I loved my time in the service. If I could do it over again, I'd do it again, but my health is not permitting that. So,
yeah.
Plus, I'm too old.
Where were you stationed at?
I stayed my whole time at Lackland.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know a lot of people. I went to McClellan for MP school.
I lived in Sacramento, and my ex-husband actually was stationed at McClellan.
Oh, okay. But right now I know that the MP school is at Fort Leonard Wood, and all the services go to MP school there.
Right.
But
well, McClellan was actually on the shutdown list before it was ever built.
Yeah.
And We spent a lot of time. We were stationed up in Alaska, Anchorage, for a
Yeah.
while. We were in Maryland for a while, but because, like I said, I also married military after I got out of the military.
Oh, okay.
So,
You didn't get enough.
pardon?
You didn't get enough the first time.
I guess not. Well, this way I didn't have to answer to anybody but my husband.
There you go. Exactly. Exactly.
You know, but I enjoyed it. I got to travel. I got to do some extra schooling that I hadn't counted on prior.
Yeah.
I had a grandson of mine that was going to go in the Air Force, but then he decided to go in the Army,
Yeah.
and he just made warrant officer.
Oh, good.
Oh, good for him.
And he's 30. He'll be 31 years old this month, and he just got transferred to Washington State.
Okay.
Oh, poor guy.
Well, he's up at Lewis McCord.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
The warrant officer candidate school is down at Rucker. I don't know I forget what they call it now, but these down at they do all the Wojes. We call Wojes walking warrant officers.
Right.
And pilots are all down at Rucker. They do that down there. And that's a hard course because you got to go almost to like a basic for warrant officers all over again. And I talked to a friend of mine, and he said that was worse than any basic training he went to. And he went to Fort Benning to infantry basic there at Benning, and he had to do the same thing when he went down to Rucker. And he goes, man, they were trying to weed us out like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that the military would be the best thing for a lot of the kids going out of high school.
Yeah.
My grandson, for instance, I thought the child was going to stay on my couch the rest of his life, drinking Kool-Aid and playing video games. But he's now making this a career. He loves it.
Good.
He could have if he would have went Air Force, but he had to go Army. So
yeah.
The one thing that I told him when he was thinking about going in the service, I said, whatever branch of the service you decide to go into, take somebody with you that had been in that particular branch of the service.
Yeah.
That way you're going to know flat out if that recruiter is telling you the truth or lying to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of them look at it as just, oh, I get a bonus for every person I sign up.
Yeah. They meet.
And so he did that. He took his dad had been in the Army, and he took his dad with him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess there was a couple things that his dad caught the recruiter on and let him know about it right up front.
Yeah.
But other than that, he told him pretty much how it was and what he was going to have to do.
Yeah, and that's what we said. We said on our live about recruiters and what the things you need to know when you go in there and you join the military is rely on those people who have lived that experience before you go. Ask the hard questions and get them in there to fight on your side for you, because they'll try to bushwhack you.
Oh yeah,
to fill those critical MOSs that the military wants them to fill, and not what you want to fill.
Well, when I first went in, I was going in as open general. I had no set career when I went in.
Right.
My two highest scores on my ASVAB test was electronics and mechanics, and at that particular time, I didn't know one end of the screwdriver from the other.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually get my job until I got in there. Yeah. So, and I came from a police background from my family, so
was
it was kind of a no-brainer.
With you coming up, why the Air Force, and why did you decide to join?
I was at a particular time in my life. I was just out of high school. We're talking over 50 years ago.
Right.
Didn't know what I wanted to do with my life at the time. I knew I wanted to maybe take some college courses, but I knew I couldn't afford it at that point.
Right.
I was working 2 and 3 jobs at a time just to survive. And so my friend of mine who went in the Air Force the year after I did, him and I had talked about it, and he said, maybe you should do this. And that's what I did. And I'm
Yeah.
glad I did.
So you came in under the old GI Bill.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
I mean, I think I was one of the first groups of women that were able to wear fatigues like the guys.
Yeah, because in 76 in the Army, they were still considered wax.
Yeah.
In 76. The women,
I remember when I first went in, we were called the baby flight, and then we had our grandma flight, you know.
Mm.
But I couldn't roll a pair of pantyhose to save my soul. So I really was fortunate. One of the girls that had gone in and was in there before I was.
Yeah.
Her grandmother knew how to roll pantyhose, and she sent a whole bunch of them.
Oh,
So
wow.
she gave them out to everybody.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing that saved me in basic training for my field drawer. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. And Jason, I just want to let you know, I'm so glad you're back on the ridge, at least for a while.
Thank you. Yeah, we're unlimited time. We don't know, but we're going to take every moment we can. So,
okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So it reminds me because, a lot of people that haven't got to meet you in person like we have, they don't realize that you're not just a very petite, short.
No, I'm 6 foot tall.
Yeah. And so did that give you any, because I didn't know until I was
Oh,
in
no. I was the tallest girl in my flight. My maiden name was also Little.
The opposite of what you were. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a common thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because it reminds me of the story of, and I can't remember her name now, but I remember hearing the story through the guy that does Dirty Jobs. He's got a podcast.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
like, now you know. Well, he was talking about she's a famous chef now, or was. I don't even know if she's still alive, but she had ran into that issue of wanting to be able to join. I think she had joined the FBI or something. Like she tried to join the military, join the FBI, and they started making her trying to create a repugnant recipe. In the story, when you listen to it, it's awesome, but a lot of the problem that she had of trying to join was the fact that she was such a tall woman. Wasn't that normal 5'5" to 5'6" of what they had at the standard time? And they're like, what do we do with this Amazon? And then of course she became super successful, based off the stuff that they did make.
Right. Well, I was only like 5'10" when I first went in. And then they told me I was 6 pounds overweight, so I took a water pill and lost the extra 6 pounds and went in. Now, like my nephew is Army Reserve. He's actually a captain now. They had to special order his uniforms for him because he worked out so much that his thighs are like massive. And his biceps. They were thinking he was taking steroids, and they tested him, and he didn't have a steroid in his body. It was just from physical training.
Yeah.
So they were thinking about not letting him, keeping him out of the military until somebody, I guess, said that we can have his uniforms specially ordered.
Yeah.
Well, and I knew, the Marine Corps is very big, and real quick, Glenn nailed it. Yes, Julia Child. That's the one that I was referred to. But yeah, there was a thing so our camouflage utilities, you weren't allowed to alter them. You just had to get the ones closest to fit.
Right.
But then any of the dress uniforms, they're altered to fit you perfectly. But then what we had noticed was a lot of the guys, especially the ones that became drill instructors, when they would come back to the fleet, they'd actually go and pay at the local seamstress and stuff. They would have their camouflage utility uniforms altered to where they were like a custom fit, and I just seen it was way excessive. But the Marine Corps is big on image and height, weight, and those standards. And they've made a lot of changes. I know when I first came in, if you could get a first class PFT, your physical fitness test,
Right.
as long as you weren't like morbidly obese, but if you couldn't be morbidly obese and get a first class, PFT.
Right.
And they didn't care how much overweight you were. But then as time transitioned, they went and they got a little bit more strict on that regulation, to where it didn't matter if you got, a perfect 300 score PFT, you better still be under those weight standards.
Right.
But yeah, uniform, I do not miss uniform alterations at all. Because it never failed. They would have some sort of an event right before a deployment that you would have to get your uniforms. Well, you'd have to go get them altered.
Right.
And then you would go on the deployment. You would lose a ton of weight, not by choice, just because you didn't eat. And then come back and they're like, oh, now there's another event. And you'd have to get them re-altered again, because now, it never failed. I would lose 25, 30 pounds on every deployment. And I would come back so skinny. And then they would have some sort of a ceremony, something. We had to be in dress uniforms, get them altered. And then, of course, now you wait a year or two, sometimes before you go on the next deployment. And then
I think everybody's frozen.
okay, I'm back.
Okay, Mike's still froze.
Yeah, they must be having because this actually did it right before we went live.
Yeah.
It kind of cut us all out.
There's Miss Tara.
No, that's actually Aunt Swami.
Oh, is this Aunt Swami? Oh, okay.
Babe, come here. We're waiting for Mike to come back anyway, so we'll just keep carrying the live.
I've missed you. I have missed you guys so much. Hi, honey.
Hi, I missed you too. Sorry, I just took a time.
Did you get my message about 10 killer?
Yes, I think so. I am.
Okay. We're going to be, we found a place that will do those RV shares. So we're going to be renting a big trailer. They'll deliver it right there. And we've got extra room. If you guys don't want to have to haul yours, if you can come.
All right. We'll have to see where we're sitting at in time frame with all that.
Yeah, Jacqueline told my daughter all about you and Jason. So now she's all upset. She never got to meet you. So she's coming to 10 killer with me. This is the one that has the kidney problems.
Gotcha.
We almost lost her about 6 weeks ago.
Nice. I'm so
So
glad.
it's been pretty bad.
And she's
Mike's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Big Mike. He's having internet issues.
Well, we're having internet issues too. I lost service. So
All right.
We're
Good
switching
seeing
it off
everybody.
with issues.
Bye. So,
All right. I think we got all of us back now.
Yep. So I was going to tell you, I went to the VA. I called the VA, and of course, I had my right hip done. And then I find out that once you have a surgery, and like mine, and you have to be under home care for 21 days or whatever, they put you on a temporary 100% disability. And then they pay you for 4 months during your recovery period. And so I seen that on one of the other veteran VA VSO channels. And I'm going, well, what the heck? So we start looking into it, right? Because this he's putting it in there, all the CFR codes and stuff like that. So I'm going, oh, let me go to 38 CFR and check that out. And of course, it says that if you have a full hip replacement, you get 4 months of 100% temporary disability, right? So I'm looking at, because I get 1816 a month, which is the standard for 70%, but 100% temporary is $3,900. Right?
Wow.
So I'm just like going, well, let me apply for this. And so I call the number and I talk to this really pleasant lady at the VA. Now, the medical VA side and the rating side are two separate entities.
Right.
Okay. Neither one of them know what the other one's doing, period.
No.
So I'm talking to the lady and I'm saying, hey, why do I have to find this out on a YouTube channel that I can apply for this temporary 100% because of the surgery? And I'm finding out about it 2 months after the fact, right? And she goes, oh, I don't know. I said, well, if you're going to see a doctor and they're going to say, hey, you're tore up from the floor up and you need to have surgery now. And then 2 weeks later, they said, it's so bad. Why didn't you come to us sooner? I said, I've been fighting this for over a year or more. And he goes, oh, well, I just got it. He goes, you should have had this surgery a year ago. I'm going, oh, okay. So why didn't they tell me then, oh, by the way, we're going to cut off your hip and put a metal thing in there for a new hip. And oh, by the way, you need to apply for your temporary 100% throughout your recovery, which is 4 months. Nobody said that. And the lady honestly said, that's because we don't talk to them and they don't talk to us. I said, oh, somebody finally admits that they're screwed up, right? Even though we all get paid under the same umbrella. So I said, okay. And so she tells me, you need to fill out this EZ form. Oh, not so easy, guys. Put a claim in, right? It's 9 pages of instructions before you get to the application. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sitting there going, when is this shit going to end? You know, I'm scrolling through this stuff. It's like, I'm getting tired reading this stuff. And so I get to it and then I fill it out and it's like 4 or 5 pages that you got to fill out if you want to increase your rating. Okay. And I went back to the hospital. The lady said, all you need is your surgical notes and your documentation that the VA referred you to that doctor to have the surgery because they don't do hip replacements. They farm them out. I said, okay. So I went there and they said, oh yeah, here you go. Take it all. And I said, oh, thank you. And so I took that and I took the order from the VA to have it done and all that stuff. I filled it all out. I only had one question. And the question was, it tells you to check this mark if you are granted, because, and here's the thing, once you have a hip replacement, you can get the temporary 100%. Just like with a knee replacement, you can get a 100% temp, okay, for 4 months. Then afterwards, you have to reapply for a rating increase, which is an automatic 30% because you have an artificial hip or an artificial knee. Okay. And it's connected to the traumatic arthritis that they granted to me that was service connected. Okay. Because of so many from jumping and stuff like that, air assault training, where I had a dislocation and all kinds of stuff. So I go, oh, okay. So then you have to apply for it again. Well, I apply for it and I call them and I said, hey, I've got one question on the application. This time it was a guy and he was really pleasant too. And he said, I said, okay, it says on here that if I get awarded a higher rating and my higher rating is worth more because it's tax free than what my Army retirement would be, they would reduce my Army retirement and you wouldn't make any more or any less. Okay. So if I go up there and I get to 100% disability and it takes me to 3,900 or whatever, I can't remember, then the money I would be making in Army retirement would be reduced on the Army side to match up. So I'm not making more than what I would be making if I was 100% disabled or I was, 100% of my retirement check from the Army. Then there was a clause in there, and it's just so freaking confusing because the government puts like 10 different changes in a space like this big, right? And it says, unless you are receiving concurrent pay and VA, which I am. So I had to call them and say, hey, let me make sure, okay, because I'm on my thing, it says I am concurrent, okay, because I retired when they made the switch, okay, between you could get all your retirement and all your disability at the same time, okay, and I had to go through a 10-year period where my VA was raising up and so was my Army retirement, which I lost probably $100 and something thousand during that time period, but they don't give it back to you. It's just what happened. Then they changed the Army or the military retirement plan after that, but I was already retired. So because I got out during that concurrent time frame, it doesn't affect it. And it took me like pulling teeth to get that answer from the guy. So hopefully they don't switch that or make a mistake, which the government is very possibly could do, even though I'm entitled to a separate retirement and a separate VA compensation. So,
yeah, so that was something that I'd ran into but I've got my full retirement, what they were going to pay me, and then I've got my full VA rating.
Yeah.
Ever since, and neither one affected. Now, I did have a couple guys that retired right before me. Of course, they had switched. The one guy had said, because as soon as he retired, he went and basically kind of like you, became a government contractor for the military. He worked for, a base, and he wasn't allowed, I think because he didn't get a high enough VA rating. So they didn't give him his retirement. They transferred it over as a VA disability to make it tax free, but he wasn't getting the full benefit of either.
Yeah.
It was kind of like they moved one to the other.
Right.
And so that, of course, made me a little nervous when I retired, because I'm like, I'm retiring pretty young. Most military guys are going to retire young typically.
Usually around 39 or 40.
Yeah. And so I was like, here I am, like, if I've got to go get a regular job, I'm going to. But then luckily, I think I was 70 or 80%. No, 90. I got to remember. I think in my initial rating was like 70, but then within 6 months, everything caught up. And then when I first retired, I was at 90. And I said, okay, how does that affect my military retirement? And they're like, well, it doesn't, because I think what did they tell me? Anything over 30% VA rating, then they're not going to adjust back and forth once you
Right.
get over that threshold. So, yeah, like I'm in a case where I get my full retirement and I get my full VA. But it is, like you said, they pack 10 paragraphs in that much of space.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to read and understand it all. And then they start using words that don't make sense together to create sentences and paragraphs. And you're like, what?
Yeah. And David Dietz, yeah, it has to be when you do that service rating, like I was talking about, it has to be service connected. It does. I live in Indiana. We were
a lot of
getting
the VA.
our military aircraft flying over very low. What would be the possible reason? We are about 50 miles from a military base. Well, probably they're just doing their night tables. Air Force, Army, helicopters, yada yada yada. They have their different tables of certification, and they have to fly at night. And a lot of times, the military base will put a block over a certain time period. They don't do it all the time. They do it at a certain time so they can get everybody through their flight tables. I was in an aviation squadron, and that's how we did it, because we didn't want to disturb the local civilians all the time, so they block it out for a certain time period.
I've found when in the military that they like to hide a lot of things.
Yes.
Like my ex-husband was in a aircraft, landed on a runway, and mortar fire hit the side of the plane. He was not wounded by scrap metal or anything like that. It was equipment in the plane landed on his leg. There was they did emergency, some kind of surgery on his leg. They put 12 nylon pins in his knee to hold it together.
Yeah.
There's nothing in his medical military records stating he ever had that surgery or the incident ever happened. Yeah. And we found out the reason why was because that way he couldn't come back if it didn't work, because I guess it was an experimental thing. Mm-hmm. He could not come back on him and get disability from the VA.
Yeah. So, yeah, Denise is saying they want to make it difficult for you to give up. And that's exactly right, because I'm going to tell you something. That is typical bull crap that they do. And a lot of times, even though I filled everything out, I went back online, I did it on the VA website, and they're saying, hey, everything looks good. You will be contacted by a VSO. And I said, well, that's great. I turned in everything. They accepted everything. Everything was good. But it does not mean that the VSO is going to approve anything.
Right.
Okay? Their job, and it just seems like this, and I can't prove it, and it's probably not in writing. Mm-hmm. Make them do it 2 or 3 times, and let's see if they give it up. We don't tell you that you're authorized this. Why would we do that? So we could pay you? It would only make sense. And I told the people, when she told me that they don't talk to each other, I said, well, that's not good customer service, is it? And she goes, no, it's the government. And that's what the lady said. And she really believed that. And I believed her, because I worked for the military for 43 years as a soldier and as a civilian. So I know that's true. We can't afford to tell you everything right up front. You have to search. And then these other poor bastards, excuse my French, these other poor bastards out there who get so frustrated, they have to hire somebody in the legal world to do your fighting for you. And as soon as they hire somebody, they don't have a leg to stand on, because there's nobody at the VA smart enough to outthink a lawyer whose only job is, oh, by the way, you got the guys who chase ambulances, you got people who chase divorcees and divorcers or whatever, and you got all these other people, and then you have lawyers that just chase the VA. Okay. They can't fight with them because they're not smart enough, because these lawyers know more about their regulation than the people working for the VA. You see what I'm saying? And that, when you're paying $4,000 or $5,000, whatever it is, to pay a lawyer to get you what you deserve, shame on the VA. Shame on our government for allowing that. Now, if I get black helicopters at night, I'm sorry, Carrie, but that's just being truthful. Not being a disgruntled veteran, because I'm not. I just say, when dumb's dumb, just say it's dumb.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and especially when I've talked to a lot of veterans that, when they would first get out and they go through the VA and they get their rating, and they're like, okay, well, they didn't put all the medical conditions that I have on there, so they're going for an increase, or they're just going to try to get more of the things that they said, well, you got ran over by a tank, but we're not gonna, call that knee injury service connected. They're just trying to get those types of things.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you start talking to guys, come to find out, and I think that she had nailed it on the head when she said, hey, they just want you to give up quicker. Because as we found through our channel here, look at all the services that we can get, and honestly, tonight's the first time that I had heard that somebody could get a temporary, 100% disability for a VA connected, or, a service connected disability surgery.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That could be a lot of good to veterans or their family that's taking care of them for those 4 months. But yeah, whenever they would put a submission in and then they get denied, they don't come back and be like, okay, well, we're not going to do this. And I've talked to several people that work within the system trying to get veterans more benefits. All you have to do is don't count me on every single time. But he said most of the time when we go to do this process, as soon as they see that the appeal has been applied, because you can appeal their results,
Right.
boom, all of a sudden they'll give you whatever you want.
Yeah.
Hey, you want the extra rating. Like, they're not going to do more work for you.
No.
Yeah.
But if you do the more work and you put the extra in, it's kind of like, who's going to break first? Are you going to break because you got to fill out 17 pages of instructions and 5 pages of things that don't make any sense?
Right.
In that, I was probably the most amazed when I got ready to retire, in the fact that, we talk about the VA a lot, but even the military, I went to my administration and said, what is my retirement pay going to be? They could not tell me. They said, well, if you go look in this order, you look in this policy. So I started digging myself. I'm like, fine, I'm going to read, but, I'm going on, I think I took 2 months of terminal leave. So I was still getting my active duty pay for 2 months, even though I was out.
Yeah.
I had no clue until the first month that it was going to hit what my retirement pay was going to be. They could not tell me. I said, so how do you know if it's right or wrong? Like, and they're like, well, it just is. Just believe in the magic. I said, I'm not believing in anything. Like, I'm retiring from this place. Like, I know how this works. But how do they not? But it's because, and it's just like this, where the two different divisions or, sections of the same company, it's like shipping and receiving. They're not talking. They're just knowing, hey, I'm sending this out, and then we're bringing this in.
Yeah,
But
something
the guy
showed up on the dock.
Yeah, like, we got this on the dock. I guess we got to send it where, where do we send it at? And they're like, we don't know. We didn't. It just.
I'll give you a funny story. I pissed off the base commander one time. I arrested his son for drugs. I was doing my job. Then shortly after that, I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia. And he came in to see me when I was in there, and he told me that they were going to have to discharge me because I was sick. Now, I was going to continue my military career with the Air Force. However, then he says, well, we'll let you come back in after 6 months if you can guarantee that you will never get sick again. We'll let you come back in the same rank and pay grade you were when you left.
Yeah.
And I looked at this guy. I said, I can't guarantee that. So I said, well, fine, I'll go ahead and I'll get out, but you're going to give me an honorable discharge
Yeah.
because I've done nothing wrong. I was doing my job.
Yeah.
So I got my full honorable discharge and I left. It's just, that was his way of getting one over on me because I wouldn't release his son. Because he came to me and asked me to release his son, and I told him no before I got sick.
Yeah.
I said, well, then I'm not doing the job I was trained to do. If I release your son, then I got to release everybody else that we arrested with him.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey,
They
just
were-
like Denise, like you were talking about earlier, Jason, until she went to the final appeal, that's when they finally approved it.
Yeah.
All her back pay, all her back service connected disability. And that is the sad part of the system. Okay. And until you acknowledge that's the way the system actually runs, it does no good to get pissed off. It should make you more determined to stick it to them. And I don't really call it sticking it to them because you're authorized it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the sad part. You got to use words like stick it to the man, but that's not really what you're doing. You're getting whatever's due to you. And that's what pisses that's what hurts my heart when the government treats their own like this. They always say, hey, soldiers come first and yada yada yada. Okay, once you retire, I'm sorry, I retired, and I remember when I was in the military what we thought about government civilians working for the military. You're just a bunch of pobes, and you wouldn't be here unless we were here. And then I became one of those pobes, okay? And feeling the relationship as a government civilian to the military people I was supporting, that absolutely hurt my heart, the way they treated us. Until they figured out, here's when they stopped doing that, is when they find out what your position in the military was. Then they go, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm just like going, you guys, it is sad that people have to fight that hard. So here's another thing I wanted to talk about tonight. Why hasn't the government called out Fort Bragg to help these poor bastards in North Carolina? I know when I was at Fort Bragg, there is an entire aviation brigade of Chinooks and Blackhawks and everything you could.
Yeah. Are we losing Mike?
Yeah, he's froze again.
Yeah. No, so Mike and I talked about this a little bit, and I'll carry it on because it's that same conversation. I remember being at Camp Lejeune when a hurricane came in, and they pulled us from whatever training, all the stuff that we were supposed to be doing, and we went out for disaster relief to help with all this.
Right.
So the big question that he's throwing out, and I see he's trying to get back in, but is why if our government is so supportive, right, supposed to take care of us, do all these things, why aren't they in there doing what they need to do? We have military in that state. There's several military bases in North Carolina. Army,
Right.
Marine, Air
All right, I'm
Force.
back. Man,
Yeah,
I'm sick of
like
this.
what? Oh yeah, so Don got you. The government got you. We're talking bad about them. They don't want us to, you
Yeah.
know.
But I don't understand that. You know, I know what Fort Bragg's capable of with their 60, 70,000 soldiers on that base, to include
Right.
Pope Air Force Base right next to them.
Yeah.
Why? Why aren't they helping these people? You know, we'll help every Tom, Dick, and Harry in another country, but what about our own people? And that's what really frustrates me.
Well, that's like FEMA the other day just announced that they're basically bankrupt and broke. They don't have any money to help any of our people.
Sherry, here's why. Why do you think that they're broke?
Yeah.
Is they stole the money out of FEMA to resettle all the people coming into our country. And I won't
Right.
use any terminology or anything.
You know, then I just hear that they just gave up.
money out, and that's how they paid for it. And they just found out that they were
Right.
doing it.
Well, then they're telling these towns that they need to help. Well, you have to come up with 10% of what it's going to take to for us to help these people.
Yeah.
So they found out that there's been some police departments waving down these relief trucks that are coming in from like out of state. It'd be like Jason, all of us getting together and going to somebody's town there in Oklahoma and Selma and giving out big loads of food and stuff to all the people.
Yeah.
Well, they're stealing the items off the trucks and then telling FEMA they've got their 10%.
Yeah.
And then you find out that the government just gave $157 million to Lebanon. But yet we don't have any money here to help the relief effort for our people that have died and are homeless.
And then we got another one at Category 5 getting ready to knock the holy piss out of Florida down there. And if they don't have money for this, how are they going to help anybody down there?
They won't. They will not have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, that's like what I heard the other day too. And I don't know how true this is, that if you're an active duty military member and you're stationed, like say over in Afghanistan or somewhere overseas,
Yeah.
and you're not allowed to send in an absentee ballot to vote for who you want as president of the country you're from.
Yeah.
That just floors me.
You know, a guy, he's part of the 1900 out of the 101st out of Fort Campbell, sitting over in Israel right now.
Yeah.
You know, we'll do that in a heartbeat. Okay.
Yeah.
But we have never ever taken care of our own first. Ever.
No.
You point me to a time in our history where the government said, "Hey, let's stop helping everybody else and let's fix our broken shit first before we help fix everybody else's crap."
Well, what did they say?
I get so frustrated with that because I love my country so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurts me when you got these tie-wearing, slick back hair, fast talkers that are crooked as a politician.
Yeah.
They only help us or say they're going to help us every 4 years.
Right. Now, I don't know how appropriate this is, but I've been into the belief that if they were to give every woman in America a handgun, all the wars would have been over within 24 hours just from us getting a cramp.
You
know what I mean?
You would outnumber us.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been right in there. I would have had Hussein, Bin Laden, you name them. But how they treat our active duty, I'm not, and even the ones that are already retired military, the way they treat our active duty military is insane. It's beyond belief. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I didn't understand it before I went in the military.
Yeah. Yeah. There's an old saying that our military trains for war, but prays for peace. I will tell you that I was like a cat on a hot tin roof every time I deployed because you didn't know what you were getting into. And when the shit hit the fan, okay, and you seen these hardcore leaders shrivel up like a baby crying in a corner, and these other
That
heroes,
was the worst.
you have
part.
these other heroes that were just, hey, you don't know when your hero's going to come out, and when your butthole puckers up and you get scared as a child. Okay, I seen it on both sides. I seen people run into danger, and I seen a lot of people try to run away from it. Okay, and that's the sad thing. So, I mean, we have it all, but all in all, I'm going to tell you something. I honestly believe that if we go into a conflict, and I learned this when I was in Bosnia, we are not made for police actions.
No.
Okay? We are not made for peacekeeping missions.
No.
From day one, you are taught how to shoot, move, and communicate, and how to kill somebody.
Exactly.
That's what you're trained for. Okay, that is your entire mission. When diplomacy doesn't work, your job is to go kick somebody's ass. Okay, but then when you go over there and they put all the restrictions on your ROI, rules of engagement, that's the civilians doing that to you. Okay, as a military person, because hey, if you let us go and you're paying us to do what you trained us for, wars would be over real freaking quick.
Right.
Okay? And everybody would be dead. I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
And that's the prime example. Like and a lot of my brothers that I served with in the Marine Corps, we talk about it all the time because they really messed us up when they started trying to do this ROE stuff. The rules of engagement was, which to a point it makes sense, right? You need to confirm your target. You need to make sure that, before you're going to engage, hey, make sure it's enemy. It's not friendly. It's not somebody innocent, anything like that. But they would bring us in multiple times. Now, everybody knows the Marine Corps, there's a reason it's called America's 911 Force.
Yeah.
We only serve one purpose. It's to go in there, F stuff up, get the job done, and come back. Everybody else to take care of the sustainment stuff. The Marine Corps is not built for sustainment. Never has, never will be.
No.
And they brought us in. We did what they asked us to do in half the amount of time that they wanted us to do it. And then they're like, well, now we're going to turn you over and you're going to start doing humanitarian operations. No, you are not about to take, all of these Marines that just went through their first combat battle in combat experience, the stuff that we trained for, what they taught us to do. We got to do it and use it finally. And now you're telling us we need to go out there and shake hands and kiss babies. It's not going to happen.
No.
And they quickly reverted it. They're like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't. And there's like, no. Like, there was nothing more frustrating than sitting in a hunkered down position because your ROE did not allow you to engage back until somebody that was halfway across the dang world said, oh, I guess you can shoot back at them now.
Yeah.
They're not shooting at you. They're shooting at me. Why do I have to wait? I don't understand. Yeah,
and then you get prosecuted for it. Hey, the purpose of the services, okay, the Air Force's job is to fight the war in the sky and to cripple the enemy in their vulnerable spots. For example, they take out bridges, they take out military bases, camps, yada, yada, yada. And then they fight the fight in the air. While they're doing that, the Navy is out in the sea fighting that battle and also fighting to cripple the enemy and all their vulnerable spots too, in conjunction with the Air Force. The Marines' job is to hit the beach shoot, shoot, shoot. When it's time for the enemy to reload, that's when the Army rolls over and goes in between the Marines and relieves them and starts killing everything that freaking moves. That's the whole purpose. But what happens is if you've ever been in combat and all of a sudden you go, man, we are rolling, we're killing stuff. And all of a sudden you go, you hear this on the net, to hold in place. Holy crap. Why are we holding in place? We got these guys right there. Hold, and you're holding for further. So people somewhere in the other side of the world can make an assessment and then make your decisions for you and pass it to your generals, who probably will not agree with it, because the civilians up in Washington control the military. That's what's frustrating as a soldier. And when you experience that and you suffer from that and you zip up body bags because of their indecisions, that's why good soldiers or good Marines, good airmen and stuff like that get the hell out of the military. Okay. All right. That's why they get out. Like I said before, we're trained at birth when you go into basic to kill somebody, and how many ways you can do it. Okay. On every kind of service crew, personal weapon, whatever. That's your job. Okay. And if they would just let the military fight the war and stay the hell out, because half of them never served, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Okay. We're there because your talking did not work. That's why we're there. That's why we were in Iraq. That's why we were in Afghanistan. That's why we were in World War II, World War I, on and on and on, because your talk did not work. Okay. And that's the only reason the military's there, is to step in. Okay. When your civilian counterpart's getting ready to get punched in the mouth. Okay. Your big brother comes in and kicks their ass for you. Okay. And I'm sorry if a lot of people don't agree with that. I really don't care, because I've lived it. I've zipped up the body bags. Okay. I've seen good men that will never become great men because they're dead over in Arlington Cemetery or your local veterans cemetery. Okay. And a lot of it's from indecision. So anyway, guys, with that being said, sorry, I left it on a very upbeat note. Okay.
But it's the truth, brother. You know what? That's the point of our channel right there, is the fact that we get to say what we want and how we feel, because there's a lot of people out there that we know that you're believing the same thing. And I'm watching some of the comments about some of this other stuff that's going on, of why this hurricane landed in North Carolina the way it did. And, you've got to just do some research. But for those of us who were there and seen this stuff, we know how this works. And we know why they're doing certain things. And it doesn't make sense to us, but it pisses us off.
Yeah.
And this is why this channel is created, because we get to have this podium. And, right now we're still being able to be live. YouTube didn't shut us off, so we're good there. But it's the thing that you've got to be able to say it. There's never a moment that anything that we say on here, like, I'm not sorry for anything that we say on here. Not one bit. And I never will be. And that's what I love about what we're doing in our community here, of bringing everybody together to voice their opinions.
Why should anybody ever feel sorry for telling the truth?
Yeah.
Right. And you shouldn't. And that this is where we can come, as veterans, and we can say these things. We can say what we want. This is our safe space of being able to put it. Yes, we're putting it out on the interwebs, but you know what? Other people are believing and knowing the same thing that we're saying, and they want to say it too. Sometimes they don't want to say it, and y'all can come up here and say the exact same thing if you want to say it.
Yeah. And that's why we have these open mic nights, and we're going to continue to have these open mic nights. And we want you to come up here and talk to us just like Sherry did tonight. and tell us your story and tell us what you think. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. That's why we're here. If we can help you in any way, please email Jason or I. Our emails are in the description. We're not shy about sharing that out whatsoever. And we'll try our best. I did have somebody that I was stationed with. His last name is Smith, Jerry Smith. I believe he's from Alabama. I hope he's not a Roll Tide fan, but anyway, because I really jammed on Roll Tide tonight. He was asking me about how to do the increase, and I haven't got back with him, but I have done the paperwork now, guys. I've fought the fight on stage number 1, so I can tell him, and I will get a hold of you, Jerry, if you're listening in the background. I didn't see you comment or anything, but I will get back in touch with him and tell him exactly how we can get some help from the VA, like I did when I had my initial questions, and the paperwork he needs to do that and not get frustrated with it, because it can be frustrating, as some of you know firsthand. But guys, we want to thank you guys for coming in. Remember, be kind to one another, help somebody in need, and always think of that. Guys, we love you.
Good night.
God bless you. And you can have the last word, Sherry.
Oh, I was just want to let you know, I was on somebody else's live just a while back, and they had some military questions. I said, get a hold of you two right there, go on their live, and they could probably answer your questions for you.
Yep. Hey, and if you've got
or know somebody that could.
If you've got a community page, please share us out so other veterans can see that. Or if you know a veteran about our page, and have them join us. It doesn't matter if we're doing another show about a totally different subject and someone comments, hey, I'd like to come up. I will post that link in there and you can come up and we can go into another direction, because really time is of no concern to me. Okay.
No.
All right. If Terry's tired, she's going to go to bed. I'll join her later. But that's what it's all about, guys. We love you.
Yeah.
God bless you. Hey, we'll see you on the next video.
Good night, guys.
See you guys. Love you all.
Bye-bye.